So that completes the chassis build. This has been the favourite build to date that I've done. I'm going to complete the body shell. I'm pretty sure I'm going to stay with the box art because I love it. I'll also go through the setting out of the electronics, and most importantly, we'll get it out for a run. Now, I chose to cut out the body first because that's just the way that I'm used to doing it, but the instructions actually say to put all of the masking on first. Give it a usual quick wash, get rid of all any contaminant. So we'll start by masking up the body shell, and this part of the instructions was not very helpful really, and a little bit difficult to work out. But they are pre-cut and easily lettered, and as long as you follow them in order, you shouldn't have a problem. They do actually overlap one another, so the order is important, and if you have any gaps you can always add masking tape. And they are a really good fit, super sticky. And I always take time to use my fingernail just to make sure that the edges are stuck really well, and it just stops any bleed and I never have any problems. I was confused by this graphic. I'm not sure what it's telling you, but if you don't mask it, it'll be red. So I used some excess mask to cover it off because I want it to be white like the box art. So took a bit of a time to work out, but all the masks are a good size and they overlap, and there's little dotted lines to show you where they should meet on the body lines as a guide. So it's ready for paint. I'm using Tamiya PS2 red, which when it's backed with white gives a nice bright sporty red which matches the decals. On colder days I use a patio heater just to lift the air temperature. If you hold the painted shell up to a strong light, you'll be able to see the evenness of the coverage. So that's the red done, and it's time to add the white. And before I spray white, I'm going to just check that there is no overspray on the inside, which we'll show later. You can see here that there is on the outside, but that's why the protective film is on there. 3 coats of white and it's looking good. Time to remove all the masks, and if you've taken time to stick them down properly, you should find that you've got nice crisp lines, and this looks really good. That extra bit of masking that I did earlier paid off because these bits are now white, just like the box art. And what is it about this bit that is so exciting? Oh, that just looks great. Little mistake at the back here. This was the hardest bit to mask off. Oh well, we'll be able to hide that with a decal hopefully. I cannot wait to see the decals on this. Okay, decal time, and there are plenty, more than you'll really need to use, so don't go mad. And these decals are good quality, but really sticky. Not like the Tamiya ones. They're sort of stick once only, and then you can't peel them off again, so be careful. And that's it, finished. Slight variation with a few more additional stickers where I thought it would look better. Yeah, very, very happy with that. And a quick personalisation of the transmitter. Cool. Right, gluing wheels. I use the super glue gel because I find that it doesn't make such of a mess, because it doesn't run everywhere. And it's got a fine tip that you can just insert between the rim and the tyre. Just try and get it as far in there as possible and work your way around slowly. And that's how I glue tyres. And if there is any excess afterwards, rather than wiping it with a cloth and smearing it around the face of the tyre, I just drag it in with a cocktail stick. And just remember, these tyres are only written on one side, so get them the right way around before you glue them. And there she is, all finished. I'm glad I went with the box art. The alternative was to paint it all red and also add gold wheels, but I decided to stick to box art on this occasion, and I'm pleased I did. The gold on the chassis and the shocks and the motor mount is just enough, and it really pops. Now you'll see my other video that I recently completed a buggy champ, which is red and white box art, and I changed it to blue and white. So doing this red and white has just ticked that box. I love it. At this point there's no electronics, motor or battery, so it's a little bit light, but I do think these shocks are nice, and when it's got a bit more weight to it, it should be really plush. I'm just going to talk you through the electronics, what I used and where I placed them, because there's not an awful lot of room inside this chassis because it's so slim. Servo has gone in, and it's a full-size servo. It sticks out from the chassis a little bit, but it doesn't require a slim servo, just standard. The receiver I've put on the top deck next to where the aerial outlet is, and I think I'm going to place the ESC on the top rather than underneath, which is what the instructions suggest. Yes, I've gone all out with this one. We're going with the Le Mans 240S ESC by Kyosho, which is a censored ESC, and it comes with a cable, and it's 60 amps. And the motor that goes with it, which is a 15.5 turn, again censored. Not the cheapest things to buy, but there we go, it's all good. The Kyosho ESC is a work of art, so I want to be able to see it on top, and it also works better in terms of cable routing than sticking it upside down underneath the top deck. And it is a censored ESC and censored motor, and the ESC does actually come with the cable. It's got the standard Dean's power connector, on-off switch with set button, and obviously the connection to the receiver. The motor comes with bare terminals, which you need to solder the wires on yourself, so I'm just preparing the terminals here with some base solder. Connection of the motor to the ESC is easy because they're both labelled A, B and C. And the motor cables are just the right length for this model, and they come pre-tinned. So to connect the wires, have a clean soldering iron and prepare it with a little bit of solder, which will help the heat transfer. And just hold the iron on the terminal, and eventually all the solder will turn to liquid and set with a wire in it. Simple as that. And you can see how close I'm holding the wire, and so I know that there isn't too much heat going in there if I can hold the wire at that distance. Give the iron a good clean and rinse and repeat for the other two. Oh, and remember to route the wires through the shock mount plate first. And there's plenty of threaded holes on this motor so you can orient it exactly where you want it. Then on with the pinion gear, standard as per the kit. And I like to set the mesh with a piece of paper and then just check it afterwards. And that all looks pretty good. Connect up the receiver. So 1 for steering, 2 for gearing. Sensor cable will only plug one way round. And all the cables go through the hole in the shock mount so that it doesn't foul when you put the body shell on. That's the metal diff gears you can hear. Quick check of all the cables, tidy them up a bit, and the plastic cover has gone on the gearbox. 2S LiPo battery, mounted transversely and secured in place with some Kyosho Velcro straps. And that's done. Quick check of the body shell, make sure that it all fits, and it does, nice and snug, and the cables at the back nice and tidy, not in the way of anything. So you do get the driver with some decals. It's not as detailed as the Tamiya ones, but he should sit somewhere further back and you just can't see him. So with the ESC there, I've had to bring him forward. If you place him about there, when you put the body shell on, he does actually sit slightly further forward so you can see him a little bit better. Okay, time for a bench test. Get it propped up on a stand. Start by turning the transmitter on. And it's time to calibrate the system. So it says to hold the set button and power it on. And we'll get the beeps. Red flashing LED and beeps means the ESC is in setup mode. Throttle trigger in neutral. Press the set button once and you'll get 1 green flash. Open the throttle trigger all the way and press the set button and you'll get 2 green flashes. And then trigger all the way forward and you'll get a 3 beep confirmation, followed by an amber and double green flash, which shows that it's been set up. And if you power it off, all those settings should be saved. Okay, let's see what happens. Now the wheels are going forward, which is a good sign. And the power delivery is super smooth. And I like the way it's got clear jumps in speed, almost like gears. Really pleased with the steering, it's nice and quick. And yeah, it's looks promising. So we're outside on a dry day and it's a loose gravel surface, which should be great for 4-wheel drive. Isn't she an absolute beaut? Kyosho censored motor, 15.5 turns, so I'm really keen to see how well this runs. And it's so smooth from start off. Oh, I'm really impressed, this is quick. And this is the first four-wheel drive buggy that I've built, and it just handles really, really well. Completely different. My beautiful gold chassis. This is the first car that I have with a censored motor, and it is very different. It's got really smooth power delivery and none of the jerkiness of a brushless. So it was, at this point, well worth the extra money. And it just rips. I love it. So there you have it. Now you guys have helped me get to over 700 subscribers in such a short space of time. So if you're really enjoying my content, please consider subscribing and help me get to 1,000. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.